everybody. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And welcome to Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. Today, we are going to talk to you about one of the most important aspects of any male-female relationship. And, you know, these dynamics can apply to non-binary couples as well. But in this case, Benjamin and I are a man and a woman. And so, and most of our clients, the women that do our Emotionally Naked Dating 12-week course, are also in heterosexual relationships. So we tend to talk about things from that perspective, but please know that what we're sharing can also apply to any relationship. So today we're going to talk about respect, and I think Benjamin probably has a lot to say on the subject. So babe, take it away.
Well, in any romantic relationship, I think what women crave the most is love, is being cherished. And what men crave the most, even more than being loved, is being respected, is being admired. And men need that respect. And if they don't find it in a primary relationship, they'll try to seek it elsewhere, whether it's becoming a workaholic, whether it's spending more time outside the marriage with friends and acquaintances. So woman needs love, a man needs respect.
So talk about why respect is so important to a man.
Well, it reflects back his masculinity. And, you know, love is something that's intimate between two people. But when a man feels respected, that reflects how he is in the world.
And why is it so important that he get that from a woman who is his girlfriend or his lover or his wife?
Because that's what he needs the most. And if he can't get it in the primary relationship, he'll find ways somewhere in the world to get it.
And I get that, but why, when you say he needs it the most, what is it? Why is that the foundation of the very fabric of a romantic relationship for a man is feeling that the woman he loves respects him? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, a man needs to feel like a man. And when a woman mirrors back that masculinity with respect, he feels he's a man in this world, in the relationship and in the world.
But it's important not just that it come from work or from colleagues or from family or whatever, but that it come directly from his partner.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, if it doesn't come from the partner, his need is so great, he'll find a way to search for it outside the primary relationship.
And if he does feel respected, what then?
Well, if he feels more respected, he's more likely to show what a woman needs, which is love. So, and when he shows love, it's easier for the woman to show him respect. Mm-hmm. So it's this beautiful interactive play.
There's the reciprocity.
Yes,
It feeds off of feeds off of itself. I know I never felt respect for very many men in my life. Most of the men that I was, either with prior to you, all of them, if I really think about it, I respected my ex-husband's talent. I thought he was a brilliant photographer, but there were so many other ways I didn't respect him. And I felt, if I'm going to be honest, I felt superior to him. I felt like he wasn't showing up, like he wasn't holding up his end of the bargain financially. I felt like he didn't take care of me as a woman, especially by not taking care of our financial needs, holding up his end of the financial, bargain. There were so many things, and it really took a toll on us and on our relationship.
Right. And that's a relationship that you wanted to and needed to get out of. And it lasted, I know the history.
Way too long.
Way too long.
Yeah.
But if it's a relationship that people are working on, that there may be some separation between the partners, where the woman doesn't feel the love that she needs and the man doesn't feel respect, that's when the guidance we're giving today will help.
Well, and I know a lot of women that I coach, they'll talk to me about a man they met, and they may really like the guy, a lot of things about him, but then there are certain other things that they don't respect, and especially when it comes to their careers. A lot of men today are not as successful as our clients and the women they're dating, and many, many, many women don't respect these men because they're not doing as well as they want them to be doing financially. They're not as far along in their careers as they would want them to be. And that's just that's the kiss of death. If it's fine if your partner doesn't make as much money as you, but if you don't respect him and what he does, and you don't see him as being a true partner and look up to him and admire him, that will eventually take its toll in the relationship, and he'll feel it.
Mm-hmm. And it's also an opportunity to turn things around. That, let's say a man isn't making as much as his partner, and feels a lack of respect for himself, because the lack of respect from his partner, he's beginning to feel and internalize. So he may be fine in that job outside of a relationship.
Yeah.
But in a relationship where it's being mirrored back to him that he's not enough, that is a kiss of death. So even if a woman doesn't feel that the job a man is doing merits her full respect, whether the woman wants to, the man to be making a difference in the world, or climbing the ladder of success, or helping people, day by day, making the world a better place than when he entered, all of those things, she could still find things that can compliment him and admire him. Like, I so admire how you get up each day and you head to work. I know it's a job that's not your, you're choosing right now, that you need to be doing it. And I so appreciate it. I have so much gratitude. And he will puff up. And then he will feel more respect for himself and bring that into the relationship.
Oh, that's really lovely.
Yeah.
But she's also got to believe it. It's got to be real. She's got to want to show that respect, or find, like you're saying, she may have many, many emotions, many feelings about him, his position, his job, his career. But in the end, she has to find something that she can respect, or he's going to feel it and start to feel inadequate and emasculated.
That's why finding even the smallest things to admire and respect, how he gets up and shows up every day, how he works so hard.
The sacrifice he's making.
For the paycheck, how he may not be living his dream right now to support her dream. That his dream may have been to be a painter, or to get on a motorcycle and get odd jobs. But he's working, whatever it may be, in a job that, he's not entirely satisfied. And so finding even the smallest things, like, I so love when you come home, even though when you've had this hard day with a difficult boss and difficult coworkers and difficult clients and all that, you still have time for me. You still are there and present, or we could just hang out together and I could just feel the connection between us. Just those things where one doesn't have to talk about the job itself or the income, but navigating those qualities that she could find.
Yeah.
And at the same time, also respecting other elements of the man, his dreams, that may not have ever been fulfilled. That his dream of being an artist, or his dream of public speaking, or doing something completely different, that she's there to not only support the dream or acknowledge and support, but to respect the dream.
Right.
I have so much respect for your passion for creating art. And I hope that, it works out. I'll do everything I can to make that happen for you.
Well, and one of the big mistakes that so many women make in the early stages of dating, men will open up about their dreams and start sharing all the things that they want to do. And a lot of women will just shoot them down or not get excited or get behind the man. And if that doesn't happen, if a woman is on a date and a man starts sharing a dream or a passion, and that woman is not excited, or she says, oh yeah, I would never do that, or I'm not interested, or why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Or any kind of comment, or just not showing interest. That's the end of that relationship right there.
Yeah. In 1967, Aretha Franklin recorded Respect, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, and it became an anthem for women.
Right.
But it was actually written by a man, Otis Redding, and recorded 2 years before, and it was his plea to the woman in the relationship to show him respect.
Wow.
And he was already a world famous, he died prematurely, but a world famous, songwriter and recording artist. And he, even with that, he was begging her to show him respect, begging.
Wow.
It's not saying, baby, you got to love me, but respect.
Wow.
Yeah.
And wow. And then we think of that, like women think about that as our anthem, right? And it was written by a man.
Yeah. And it should be an anthem for women too. I mean, respect is mutual, love is mutual, but there is a difference between the man and the woman of the needs of each. And a woman can find things to respect about a man, let's say, even if he's not entirely her physical type, that she thought she would be happily ever after, she could find things to, and he may not be in shape. But she may find just things to respect him and show admiration, like you've got really strong arms, or you're so tall, or I love how that the colors that you wear, all the things. You have a beautiful head of hair, or I love your bald head. So it's navigating to the good things, and it may sound like it would be painful for the woman. But the reward that she gets back from the man, where he suddenly feels like, wow, I'm attractive to her, I'm respected for my arms, for my strength, for my kindness, for my steadfastness, for the amount of love that I show, being a good father, being chivalrous, the education I may have had, the intelligence that I may have, all of those things, a man will, there's a term in finances called return on investment. So a simple compliment that shows respect comes back so many-fold to the woman because it means so much to the man. And just like as a woman needs reassurance with love, continual reassurance, assurance, a man needs continual assurance, feeling respect.
And I think one of the saddest things is that in our culture, we're taught that a man doesn't need that. A real man is confident and he knows who he is, and he doesn't need to hear, oh, you're so strong, or you're such a great father, or I love how chivalrous you are. A lot of women think that those are things that women need, but not men. And a lot of men will also back that up. Like if you were to say a compliment or something, they brush it off or they act super macho or whatever. But we all need that feedback.
Oh, they internalize it. Absolutely. When I think of like a quintessential man like Don Draper in Mad Men, that very successful ad man, but not successful in the relationship, and in some ways, faltering in his work. And the way he handled it was through alcoholism.
Right.
That he needed it so much, and when he wasn't getting it, he had to dull the emotions of not getting it. Mm-hmm. So a man that gets respect is like getting an infusion of drugs. Mm-hmm. Just pumping him up and making him feel good. And the more respect he gets from the woman, the more he wants to do things that show respect, because he knows it's going to be reflected back to him.
Yeah.
If he does things and it's not noticed, it's not admired, it's not respected, he's going to eventually not care if he does it or not, because, it's just, she's not noticing, I'm not getting, the respect I need. It's like Rodney Dangerfield would keep saying, I get no respect. And people would laugh, but a lot of men would laugh because it's an uncomfortable laugh. When a comedian says it, he's reflecting back what's out there in the world. And so when he says, I get no respect, some men really laugh because it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. Well, I think today, so many men don't feel seen. They don't feel seen. They've been the brunt of jokes. They're you could, name a list of sitcoms where, the man is always the buffoon or the brunt of the joke or the idiot.
Yeah. And he has an attractive wife who's incredibly understanding. But he does nothing in these comedies. They do nothing, respectful until maybe the end, where there's kind of the punchline.
Right.
But it's just the way men are portrayed in sitcom after sitcom.
Right.
From as far as I could remember, as far as TV, that there aren't a lot of good models of men on television, of men who deserve respect. There are men who are heroes that may, fight enemies off and, with guns and, but in everyday life, and I think a lot of men feel that they lose some respect because they get married, the woman has a lot of respect for him. Then a baby comes along and her attention is so devoted necessarily to that child that he becomes a kind of an ancillary appendage in the relationship. And all the acknowledgement goes to the baby. You're so cute, look at you. And all the things that the man was getting prior, he's no longer getting.
Wow.
And so, a lot of men can feel like postpartum depression, not because of hormones, but because of the interaction that has changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think another thing that men need to feel respect for, particularly sensitive men, is their need for time and space. And when a woman respects that, and I think the more sensitive a man is, the more time and space he needs. He needs time for the day to catch up with him and for him to catch up with the day, or for life to catch up. So when a woman absolutely respects and supports that, what a man needs, saying, I so respect your need for time and for space. I love being with you. Hopefully we could be together, do something this evening. But if you need time and space, I'm there to be the guardian of your soul. I'm there to protect that.
Yeah, I think what you're also speaking to in a bigger sense, honey, is making room for a man, just making room in a relationship for a man to be a man. Women, there are things about male behavior that are very threatening to women, just like I think that there are things about female behavior that feel very threatening and hard to understand for men. It goes both ways. One of the most important pieces of this whole puzzle for me in learning how to respect men was developing compassion for men and what they go through, and being able to be an adult about the things that I may not necessarily agree with in terms of male behavior, but finding a way to understand them and put them in context with the journey that a man goes through in life and how men are wired. You're in the process right now of rereading The Male Brain. And I remember when I read that book, it was eye-opening for me to think about. I remember one image that she talked about. Well, I just remember the whole section about what young boys go through during puberty and what that is like for a young boy to go through testosterone. And she described it was like the equivalent, the amount of testosterone in a young boy's body was the equivalent of taking his brain and soaking it in a bucket of testosterone.
Right.
I mean, that image never left me, and what that means, as a 60-year-old woman on hormone replacement, I have taken testosterone, just for a very short time, but I could feel the effects of it on me, just in a little bit in a cream. But men go through just, their journey is completely different than ours. I mean, a man can't even walk around through a high school without getting an erection because he's got so much testosterone in his system, he can't even control himself.
Yeah. And of course, our conversation isn't about child development, but if a teenager who's teenage boy who's being flooded with testosterone, and also the need for autonomy, which is part of biology, and usually it creates this distance, this friction between the boy or the young man and the parents, and sometimes that friction is never healed. But you could imagine if the parents turn around and say, I so respect how you're showing up, beginning to show up as a man. I so respect how, even though all these things are going on, so how the son would change, and their whole relationship, maybe for the rest of their lives, would change. And it so seldom happens.
Well, oh, you got so emotional there. And I think even more so, we have so many young men who are being raised by single mothers who turn their sons into their partners that they don't have, who stop dating and then pour everything into that relationship. And then when the son starts to pull away or need autonomy, the mothers often don't know how to handle that.
Yeah. And respect and love have a lot to do with what your program is about, which is about being the guardian and finding the guardians of one's soul. So if in that situation of a single mother and a son, the mother actually looks to see, how can I support that soul's journey? How can I respect what his dreams are, what his journey is, and how can I be there for him,
Yeah.
as opposed to trying to hold on
Right.
and stunt and restrict and mold that child into something that that isn't the soul's journey.
Well, and we hear so often in our course, more and more and more, we're hearing from the women that go through it, how it not only affects their relationships with men in general, but it affects their whole lives. It affects their relationships with their sons and their fathers and their uncles. They start seeing men in a very different light. They see men in general with more respect, and they have, I think respect really grows out of compassion. I think compassion is at the root of respect, because I know my father was not a great example for me of a man. And I grew up not respecting men in general. But once I learned about this word compassion, which I really, until I started doing a lot of spiritual work, I'd never explored. And then I started to see men with eyes of compassion. I know Warren Farrell's book was a big eye-opener for me. Why men are the way they are. Yeah.
Right. And I think that even though your father wasn't a great role model of a man, excuse me, that one of the things that affected your respect for men was seeing the lack of respect your mother had for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was a big, big, big piece of it too. Yeah, I think both. Because I do know daughters who had fathers who were not terrific fathers, but they were able to develop somewhere along the line. They had compassion, they had respect for their fathers. It's something I never learned. My mother had contempt for my father. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I never knew what it was like to be with I knew few men. My Uncle Sid was the only man who was really an example of a good man, a responsible man, a man who showed up for his wife and his children, and even showed up for me.
And his community.
Yeah, and his community. He was remarkable. But that's the only man I had in my life that really was an example of a man who I felt I could respect at all. Yeah, so honey, anything else you want to add?
I think one of the things that a woman needs, in addition to feeling loved and cherished, is feeling protected. Mm-hmm. And one of the passions of a man has in life is to be able to protect a woman. If we look at all the action movies, all the romantic comedies, not all, but the majority of action movies, if not all, have to do with men protecting women, protecting the world and all of that, but ultimately protecting, whether it's, even if it's a war movie, it's protecting the women at home. And so one of the ways that a man could feel most respected, if the woman mirrors back how she feels protected by him, that is a tremendous turn on. Yeah, it is a turn on.
Yeah.
It will puff up. And you just look at any of the Marvel movies or, any of the superheroes of Bruce Willis. It's really about how to protect a woman, and all of the things. And then having that respect at the very end, even if they were disrespected, for, like in the Bruce Willis movies, he may have gotten divorced because he, this or that. But in the end, he was respected for protecting his woman.
And the funniest thing is, it's never about a man protecting a man.
Right.
You never see a superhero movie where the guy is protecting the man, ever. Yeah. They're never about that. It's always a man protecting a woman. Yeah. Interesting. I do want to just hit a bookmark here, or a little pause here, And I want to address something I think that's really important that relates to this subject, but is also bigger than the topic at hand. Very often, women feel when we're having these conversations that we're just telling them all the things that they're doing wrong. You know, well, you could do this and you could do that better and you could do this thing and, you know, you need to do that and why don't you try this? I really want to be clear that these podcasts are geared towards women. They're geared towards women. We're not sitting here dishing men because that is not the point of the work we do. If my work was about coaching men, which it was for a very long time. I coached men, I coached couples, I coached women. When I am talking to a particular person, I am addressing that person, that sex, and I am saying, look, the only thing you have the power to change is you, right? You know, I could sit here and tell you all the things men could do better, but this podcast is not called Getting Inside the Right Female Mind. It is called Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. And what we're trying to help you understand are the things that you could be doing to try at your end to enhance your relationship on your dates, instead of showing up on dates and feeling, like, I don't know what to do, or how do I get his attention, or how do I inspire him to want to contact me again. Your greatest power is the power that lies in your own hands and in your ability to make changes in your approach, in your behavior. The men, believe me, if I were talking to the men, if Benjamin was talking to the men, it would be a whole different conversation. We would be sharing with them all the things they could be doing differently, the ways that they could show up and make a woman feel more cherished and adored. But that is not the conversation we are having. So please understand, we are trying to empower women by showing them some things that they can do differently to be able to have better relationships and to be doing these things from their end. So that's, please understand, that's where we're coming from. And we're not telling women that they're the ones that need to make all the changes. We're just saying these are some changes you can make if you want your dating and your relationships to be better.
Great.
Yeah. All right. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And this has been Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. We thank you so much for joining us. And please come back again. Tell your brothers and uncles and sisters and nieces and nephews and girlfriends and everyone you know, your mom, your dad, about this podcast. We would love to see you back here again. Please rate and like our podcast. The name of the podcast is Dating Without Drama. If you search for Getting Inside the Right Male Mind, you will not find it. Or if you search for Lunch with Lisa, you will not find it. Those are the two titles of the two podcasts we do each week, or I do each week. But the title for the podcast is Dating Without Drama. So please look for that wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and like it, spread the word, and also give me a thumbs up on YouTube. Please send us your ideas for this podcast. You can send them to podcast@lisashield.com. And finally, the most important thing of all, if you like what we have to say, we can help you find the guardian of your soul. We teach a 12-week course that will blow your mind and change your love life forever. So please go to lisashield.com, click the button, you will see the link. It will take you directly to my 45-minute presentation. Stay to the very end. Listen carefully to the criteria you must meet to qualify for a call. If you're ready to get this fixed now, then please book a call and we will get on with you and we will show you how we can help you get this solved. So please go to lisashield.com and watch my presentation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again.